It's now a few days since I've painted the top coats where that bucket is, and I've cleared out all this mess under here, and I'll just try and get the camera down as best I can because it's very shallow area, and you can just see there's a bit of, it's more rust staining than rust, but I'm going to treat it with some Genolite, which takes about 15 minutes to react, and then it says within half an hour you can paint. And so I'm going to hopefully get that done, and while that's curing I'm going to go and undo the gas locker, remove the bottles, and there's a lot of ballast in there that I need to get out. So let's get this Genolite on, which is in this bucket here. It's this like pink liquid, and that'll convert any rust staining, neutralises it, ready for the paint. Right, now at the front of the boat, I'm starting to take I took the 2 bottles out. That one's a full bottle, and the one on the left is the one I'm actually using. And a good tip to anybody new to boating is when your bottles are in place, put your spanner on the top of the bottle that you're actually using, so you'll always know which is the one you're going to change. So my next task is, will come down in here with me. It's a bit claustrophobic. As you can see, there's rust staining. I think you can just about see there's a bit on that side. Just turn behind me. So it's not major bad, but my intention is to wire brush it with my drill, and then get some Genolite on it after I've got all these bricks out. Now these bricks are obviously for ballast, so I've just got to make sure I get them all back in something like when they come out, and that way then the boat sits trim and true in the water, and then the gas bottles sit on the top of these here. So let's get some bricks out. There's one heck of a lot of bricks in here. When I first got freedom, I opened the gas locker and I thought, oh, somebody's dumped a load of old bricks in here. Never gave it a thought that it was ballast. So if ever you find you've got a part of your boat that's full of bricks, it's there for a reason. I'm going to stack these on the end of the finger jetty. I've checked with my neighbour, he's happy with that. And it's going to take a couple of days just to paint. Obviously undercoat takes about 14 hours, and I'm going to put a couple of top coats on. And the shame of it is the bricks are going to go mainly on top of what I've just painted, but at least I know that it's been done. And if anybody ever looks in the gas locker, like the engine bay, it's going to look neat and tidy. And all the bits of rust underneath will have been cured, which is the most important bit. Right, that's some of them out. I'll get these on the jetty. I think there's about another 30 or 40 of these, and these are just driveway bricks. These are. The others were more engineering bricks, which they use because they've got more weight in them. It's actually not too bad. It looks worse than it actually is. I think when you get rust staining amongst paint work, it always makes it look bad. And I'm guessing that this has never been painted out since the boat was built back in 2009. So it's definitely due. Just making sure I don't bang in these hoses, these gas hoses. I want to put a split in them. Luckily there's no cable in here, Not sure what that was for. I will keep it because it's sod's law if I throw it away. I'm going to need it. Jeff will have left it there for a reason. I'll get them on. I've just got 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, might as well get them all out. I was going to make a second trip, but I think it makes sense to get them all out in one go now. He's put them in nice and neat, that's one thing. Just got to make sure I leave a space for me to get out. And once I've put these bricks on the jetty, that's a roll of cable. I'll bring you back in here, and then you'll be able to see the before and after, because there is quite a bit of flaky surface rust, that's for sure. So a good wire brush and then a treating with some Genolite. Right, that's all the bricks removed. And what I thought was just a bad bit there, obviously, mind my thumbs.
You just got the 2 gas bottles in there?
Yeah.
We got 4 on this thing, it's stupid.
It was a cruiser boat though, wasn't it? Right, we've had about 5 minutes with this tool. A lot easier than doing it by hand. And already you can see it's lifted most of it. I'm just going to go in there with a dustpan and brush, clear all the debris. I'll put my second battery back on to charge, and then I'm going to go over it again, so I'll run both batteries down, just so I know I've got everything prepped up ready to put some Genolite rust converter on it, and then after half an hour I can get some paint on. I'll show you that. Right, that's all now wire brushed off. I mean, it looks messy, but there's nothing solid on there, it's all been wired and swept. And I'll just try and spin round in this very tight area and behind me, as you can see, well, best you can. So what I'm going to do now, we'll go and have a look at the Genolites taken on the engine area, floor area that I've done, and then I'll bring you back in here and just get the Genolite applied on this so I can get some undercoat on it today. Right, that's, as you can see under there, the patches is where the Genolite is reacted, where there was any areas of rust or slight rust. So I'm now confident that I can get the undercoat put on that section, and I'll just show you. This is that's the product, the Genolite that I'm going to be using. I've used it on the engine room, I'm now going to use it in the gas locker. So let's go and get this put on. Hold this where I can so I'm not got my fingers in front of the camera. So the aim is to get plenty, work it in with your brush, hit all the crooks and crannies, and then just leave it to do its magic. It takes about 15 minutes. It'll remove any issues with where the rust has been. As I say, it always looks worse than it actually is because it stains. Rust is a terrible thing for staining, and I'm not too worried about having a pristine finish, but what I do want to do is make sure I've treated plenty of Genolite so that there's not going to be any more issues with rust breaking through for a long while. It's the same as when I come to put the undercoat on. I'm going to put a heavy coat on because it's got plenty of time to dry before I need to put the tops on. Now I've disconnected the gas, I can manage without it. and I just think if you can put plenty on, then it makes sense to do so. Just covering the whole floor in the gas locker, and then at least any areas that I've scoured with an electric brush on the drill will be treated by the Genelite, hopefully. Won't have any more issues with rust trying to get through. So I'm going to get on with this, then we're going to go and get the undercoat on the engine, that last bit of the engine room, while this is curing and doing its magic, and then I can get the undercoat on here as well. So then I'll have achieved something today. It's always nice when you know you've got it all in hand and it's working. Well, I'll catch you in a little bit. So that now has got all the underside of there. It's got undercoat on. You can see it's slightly darker than to the right of them fuel lines with the yellow bands on. So I've done all that. I'm now going to take Misty out, and by the time I get back, the Genelite, as I put in the gas locker, should have dried, and I can get that undercoated, and I may even be able to get top coat on tomorrow depending on the weather. So very happy with the way it's looking. Right, that's the cure rust now done what it needs to do, and I think I've just got about enough undercoating. I keep getting my fingers in front of the lens, I do apologise. But enough paint in there. I'm actually only going to undercoat, I think, the floor. Although I am going to top coat the sides, because the sides are relatively in good condition. I'm just going to put the top coat straight onto what's already there. But I do want the floor area to have a good coat of undercoat. So because it's a very small limited space, it's the time I get in that corner with my brush, you'll not even be able to see. So I will paint out the first half, and then I'll just show you how it looks. Then I will turn around and try and get the other half done, and paint myself out of the actual gas locker.
Is that where you got stuck down?
No, I got. Good morning. Well, maybe not so good. As you can see, the weather forecast this week said it was going to rain on the 3rd of May, and guess what, it's raining. So my plan today was to get a top coat of paint on the gas locker, but that's obviously not going to happen because I'd have to have the lid open to get in there, and the rain would just follow me in. And to be fair, I've just checked it, and I did put a heavy coat of undercoat on, so that's not actually dry yet, so I'm not going to be able to put the top coat on until tomorrow. So let's have a look at this engine bay area. Well, that area is all nice and dry, so I'm now going to put the top coat on to the left of the yellow clips you can see on the fuel lines. And because I can't do anything in the gas locker today, I'm going to I wasn't going to paint these wall sides, as you can see, where the bracket is, but as I've got plenty of time now and I've got plenty of paint, I think I'll just give them a bit of a coating just to make them look as nice as the rest of the engine bay. So let's get painting. Right, that's the first top coat on to the left of those yellow clips. I've also done all the way down them side walls down to where the greaser is, and I've done exactly the same underneath where I'm now standing. You can hardly see it, but I've done the side walls there. So I think what will happen now is I'm going to leave this to dry. It's a bit damp today because it's been raining, so I'm not holding out any hope that this will be dry by tonight. If it is, I will give it a second coat, but if not, then that's a job for tomorrow when I do the gas locker with the first coat in there. So hopefully by Thursday, that's my aim, because I'm off again on Thursday. I'm working Wednesday, but by Thursday I should have it all dried, second coated, and ready to put everything back. I'm going to put a piece of carpet in that area directly in front of the camera, so I can put my toolboxes in there, and when I need to get them out, I'm not going to be scratching the paint, and they'll be able to be secured so they'll not move about when I'm travelling. There we go, time for a cup of tea. Good morning. Well, it has been a bit of a wet night, but it's now about 30 hours since I painted the undercoat in the gas locker, and yes, lovely, it's nice and dry. So while there's a break in the weather, I'm going to get in here and get the first of the top coats of paint on. It's going to be difficult to get the camera in there as well, so I'll just show you it when I've completed. Right, that's the first, the top coats on. It's only a thin brush over. It acts more as a sealing than an actual top, but it will give the final coat something to key onto. Now it's already drying, so it looks patchy. I'm not looking for Rolls Royce paintwork finish, but I do want to get a covering on with the next coat, and when it dries I think we'll see a massive difference in this locker. So I'm now off to go and finish the engine room while this one dries. Well, despite the terrible weather on and off throughout the day, it's 4 o'clock, there's a break in the rain, so I've managed to get in and brush plenty of top coat around. As I've said before, with this Cornish slate colour, it dries very quickly, and as it dries it always looks like you've missed a bit, but it is in fact just the way it's drying. So everywhere it's got a good coating, all into the corners, just got to allow it to fully dry. So we'll have a look over in a couple of days, because I'm going to be putting everything back on Thursday when it's nice and dry. I think it looks alright. These are, there's 3 of them actually, rubber mats that I've picked up from the range in Sutton where I work. Obviously there's other shops that sell similar. I've bought these because although they are rubber, obviously they have got holes, and the idea is I'm going to put these in the base of the gas locker, and I may have to cut one to size, I'm not quite sure yet. And when I put the ballast brickwork back in, at least then they're resting on top and there's air able to get between the bricks, and the bricks won't be scratching the paintwork. So I'm just going to lift the front window cover up and let's have a look inside this locker and let's see how well that paint's dried. Right, I'm just going to put you on the tripod down inside so you can see, hopefully, because good layer of paint and it's dried out really nice. So I'm going to put you to one side while I get the mats in, and we'll get these ballast bricks and the gas bottles back in place. Right, so that's where the bulk of the bricks go, and obviously you can see the two pipes for the gas bottles, and I've sloped the third mat up into the front of the bow because when I came in to take the bricks out, there's quite a pile placed right up into the nose of the boat, and my intention is to place everything back as I found it, because obviously when the boatyard did the ballast testing, they rendered it as it should have extra weight stacked up at the front end, so I don't want to change that. Right, let's get some bricks inside. Right, these bricks are normal, what I call driveway bricks, and the joy of these is they do have a ridge. When you put the bricks side by side, you will get a little natural gap where you would normally put the infill of sharp sand if you use them as a driveway. So again, it's good because the air can get between them. And these make up the base of the locker. And then I've got some heavier engineering bricks on the pontoon, which once I've got these in place, I can get them fetched on board, and then we'll be able to get the bottles in place. So let's get some bricks in. There's not a lot of room, and it's just a case of taking your time and getting these put in nice and neat. I've not taken all this time to get it painted out lovely just to throw them in, so try and get them so they look nice and tidy. I always think, my thinking on all the jobs that I'm doing on board Freedom, not that I'm looking to sell, because that's the last thing in my mind. I like this boat so much. But if you do all the jobs properly, or as properly as you can, within your own ability, and mine is a bit limited, then if ever you do come to sell, I'd like to think that when I lift the lid on this locker, the same as in the engine area, a prospective buyer would take a look and think, this guy's definitely looked after this boat, and it gives them the confidence then to spend the money and buy it. So when you're doing your boat, do keep that in mind. It's not just for your present peace of mind that you've got the jobs done properly, but it's also you're looking after your investment the same as you would with a house. You know, do it as best you can on the budget that you've got, and you'll recoup your money when you come to sell. Because I hear so many people say that boats depreciate badly. I've had this boat just over a year. I had it valued just out of curiosity, and the valuation was actually £25,000 more than I paid for it. So I don't think mine's going down in value. Not at the moment. I do think when you buy a brand new boat, obviously you run that risk, the same as when you buy a brand new car. You're going to lose some money, and I think people who buy new have to allow for that in their budgeting, and it's a price that you pay, I suppose, for a shiny new boat. Right, I'm going to switch you off because I'm going to be a bit longer yet doing this, and I'll show you before I put the heavy ballast at the front just how the base is looking. Come back to you in a minute. Well, I don't think the camera's going to pick this up very well, but that's the port side, and there's some old dumbbell weights and a 56-pound potato scale weight there. These are the heavier bricks. This is stacked, and that's why I put that rubber mat up against the front of the bow, and then obviously the bricks directly below are all stacked as they were originally. And again, hopefully, maybe not, you'll be able to see that the paint's looking lovely. I'll just show you from the I'll lift this out. Right, that's all the heavier bricks. Also, when I came to remove them, just in front of the gas bottle, you'll see there's the big old heavy 56-pound weight with a couple of dumbbell weights on. Now that was in that position, so it's gone back that way because I'm assuming they've added that little bit of extra weight to the port side just to trim the boat. But yeah, I'm very happy with that. At least none of the bricks are touching the paint. There's a rubber mat between them all, so it keeps it nice and protected. So let's get the rest of the bottles in, and we'll get them strapped down and connected. Right, that's the two bottles back in place. So I just need to check the gas vents. I have underneath here, there's a three-way gas valve, and you can turn it to the left, dead centre, or to the right. If it's turned to the left, it means it's taking the gas from the left bottle. Dead centre, it means it's turned the gas totally off to the inside of the boat. And to the right, it means you take it from the right bottle. Now, my right bottle's not being used, so it's left turned completely tight and off. My left bottle is turned off. I'm now going to connect the pipe. Now, what you have to remember on a boat is you actually tighten the nut as you would imagine you was untightening it, so it's opposite to what you would expect to do. I'm just going to put both these in loose first, just to make sure they're in. The hoses aren't kinked, so there's no issues with safety on the hoses. So you actually tighten them by untightening them, if that makes sense. And then with the spanner, we just need to nip them up now to make sure that they are nice and tight before I strap the bottles all the way down. Now this is a spanner that was on the boat, and to be honest with you, it's nice and tight. It's not the best spanner in the world, but I'll put one on my shopping list, I think. That's a bit... Now what I always do, I don't know whether the boaters do it or not, even though I know the valve is turned to this left bottle, I always leave the spanner tucked on top of the bottle like that. I'm just going to turn the gas on now, so it's going into the boat. Fully open, put the spanner in. And the reason I do that is if I have to change the bottle and it's chucking it down with rain, I lift the lid, I know that that's the bottle that must have run out because that's the one that's got the spanner on, and that's the bottle I'm using at the time. I can then just reach under, turn the valve to this bottle, turn that one off, which will now be empty, turn this one on. And when it's chucking it down with rain, that's going to be a very quick process because you'll not be hanging around out here. So I'm just going to push these around a bit just so I can get the strap on. And this is the holding strap. Again, I think I might be investing in a new one of these because it does my head in getting it right. I'm alright getting it on, it's getting it off I sometimes struggle with. So there's a hook welded to the bulkhead there, a ring should I say, Then the strap obviously needs to go around the bottle. And then there's a strap on the other side that allows it to go and be tightened up. So while I just mess with this, I'll bring you back in a minute. And that's nice and secure now. The strap goes all the way around to the hook on the left, round the front of the bottles and to the right. So one gas locker, safe, nicely painted, rust free, finished. Time for a cup of coffee.